I'm Jason UFC, and today we have a story about Chael Sonnen names 2 opponent options for Ian Machado Garry, but he leaves out Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Among the biggest stories emerging from this past weekend's pay-per-view UFC 292 event in Boston was the future of the UFC welterweight Ian Machado Garry. Ian Machado Garry, a former Cage Warriors champion, extended his undefeated professional and promotional record on the UFC 292 main card at the expense of 170-pound veteran Neil Magny. Ian Machado Garry made good on his promise to deliver dominance against the Haitian sensation, winning all 3 rounds at the TD Garden in Boston, courtesy of some brutal and damaging leg kicks. Days on from the result, Ian, the future Machado Garry, rose up the welterweight ladder to the number 11th ranked welterweight in the latest rankings update. And in his next step, Machado Garry is looking to make an emphatic surge into the top 10. But although he's hoping to see that come against elite striker Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, one former fighter turned analyst has pitched a different path. Chael Sonnen reduces Machado Garry choices to just 2 opponents. Okay. During a video recently uploaded to his YouTube channel, go and subscribe to the Chael Sonnen YouTube channel and hit the thumbs up button. Of course, ex-middleweight and light heavyweight UFC title challenger Chael Sonnen assessed the next steps in the rise of Machado Garry. In spite of in spite of Ian Machado Garry's calls to fight a top 10 stand-up fighter in the welterweight division, Chael, the American gangster, Sonnen, pitched another high-ranked contender known for their elite grappling and another striker ranked below Machado Garry in the, quote, pecking order. Okay, this is what Chael Sonnen says. There are only 2 fights out there for Ian Garry. We should be narrowing this conversation right now. First off, Shakov Rachmanov. Second off, Jack Della Maddalena. Guys, Jack and Rachmanov are the only 2 people we should be discussing for Ian Machado Garry. Ooh, that's interesting. Machado Garry and Rachmanov both train together out of the Kill Cliff FC in Florida, along with other ranked middleweight or welterweight Gilbert Burns and Vicente Luque. Chael Sonnen is calling for the pair to do away with any allegiances in order to collide in a Rising Star versus Rising Star showcase. Whether they're teammates or not, Rachmanov and Machado Garry, my understanding on Machado Garry is that he is a road warrior, Chael Sonnen continued. I didn't even know that Rachmanov had boots on the ground in America, let alone that team. Is this really a team? If so, if it is, do we need to all respect that right now? Okay. It's continuing. Going out and dealing with Rachmanov is extremely important, but why? Well, because they're both undefeated, but why? Well, because they're both rising stars, but why? Because the outcome doesn't matter as much, Chael Sonnen continued. We have a clear, monetizable box office attraction with Garry. There's a level of protection that comes with putting the guy with a perfectly undefeated who's stopped in absolutely everybody, who's supposed to run through you up and comer, is a very good way to get one of them over. Is there anything I'm not gonna go. Let's just move on. Okay, so I am a MMA casual. I'm a little bit surprised about, I don't know what happened with Wonderboy Thompson. It seems like he's gotten more hate from the UFC, from the MMA fans, than Michel Pereira, who missed weight. Wonderboy was supposed to fight Michel Pereira. Michel Pereira came into the fight, weighed like, he missed weight by like 8 pounds or something like that. And the UFC, I guess they wanted Wonderboy to still have the fight. Yet Wonderboy turned down the fight, and now he's getting so much hate. Ironically enough, last year when Hamza Chimaev missed weight by I think about the same pounds as Pereira, the UFC took him out of the welterweight division, right? So I don't understand why Wonderboy Thompson is getting so much hate after turning down a fight with an opponent who clearly didn't respect the rules of MMA, right? So that's my first point. I still like the idea of Ian Machado Garry versus Wonderboy Thompson. It seems like it would be a great fight. UFC says they want to see Ian Machado Garry in MSG. That MSG card is UFC 295, John Jones versus Stipe Miocic. I say you have Ian Machado Garry versus Wonderboy Thompson on the main card there. Now, let's get into Shavkat Rakhmonov. What's the other name? And Jack Della Maddalena. Shavkat Rakhmonov, that would be interesting. I'm trying to see what they're doing with him. He was going to fight Kevin Gastelum for some unknown reason, but now he doesn't have an opponent, so we have to still wait to see what's happening with Shavkat Rakhmonov's next opponent. I sincerely doubt the UFC is going to put two top 10 undefeated fighters in a fight, at the moment. They probably don't want to take away the momentum from either fighter. Shavkat Rakhmonov, 17-0. I think he's finished every single one of his opponents. No decisions, either a KO or submission. So he's a complete monster. I sincerely doubt the UFC is going to give Ian Garry that fight next. I just really doubt it, especially because they train at the same gym and stuff like that. And as far as Jack Della Maddalena, his next fight is versus Kevin Holland. So I'm a little bit surprised that Chael Sonnen didn't throw the name of Kevin Holland out there. If Kevin Holland defeats Jack Della Maddalena, Kevin Holland versus Ian Machado Garry, how can you not want that? Those guys both talk a lot. It would be a great build-up. It would be a great fight, right? We got to put a little bit of respect on Kevin Holland's name. I know he lost to Hamza Chimaev last year in the welterweight. It wasn't even a welterweight fight. It was a catchweight fight. So, I think, my name's, there's like 4 names out there, right? You got Shavkat, you got Jack Della, you got Kevin Holland, and then I would say you also have to throw out there Vicente Luque. Vicente Luque just defeated RDA, unanimous decision, main event, 5 rounds. So you have to put Vicente Luque in the conversation. My only problem with all of these conversations right now is that the UFC welterweight division is unquestionably, even though I'm an MMA casual, it's my favorite division. But I don't think anyone in the top 5 has a fight scheduled at the moment. We have the Leon Edwards, who's the champion. He last fought, I think, March. Colby Covington, who's allegedly the number 1 contender. He last fought last year. Kamaru Usman, there was talks of him fighting Hamza Chimaev. Hamza Chimaev has now moved up to the middleweight. So what's happening with Kamaru Usman? Bilal Muhammad, he is somehow the next title contender. I don't know why the UFC guaranteed that Bilal Muhammad, after defeating Gilbert Burns, who had 3 fights this year, why did the UFC guarantee that Bilal Muhammad gets the next title shot after defeating Gilbert Burns, and they didn't even have the next title fight scheduled? They should have had Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards scheduled. I still have no idea what's happening with that fight. So what's going on there? What's happening with Bilal Muhammad? A lot of people are just sitting back and not, they don't have anyone scheduled. So there's a lot of matches you can make for Ian Garry. I like Vicente Luque. I like the winner. I would say the winner of Jack Della versus Kevin Holland. That would be a good fight. Shavkat Rakhmonov, I don't mind that fight. You put that on the MSG card. That's a crazy fight. But then you also have the winner of that is looking at, I could be looking at a title shot. I would like Shavkat Rakhmonov to fight Bilal Muhammad. And then you have and then you have Ian Garry fight the winner of Jack Della versus Kevin Holland. But let me know your opinion of this story. There's a lot of fun MMA matchmaking you could do in the UFC welterweight division because, like I said, almost no one in the top 10 is scheduled to fight at the moment, right? Like if you look at the list, I don't think any of them are scheduled to fight. So there's a lot of matches you can make. I don't believe it's currently only 2 options for Ian Machado Garry. But let me know your opinion of this story. I'm Jason. Let me get these pop-ups out of here. I'm Jason, UFC, and today we had a story about Chael Sonnen names his opinion, the only two options for Ian Machado Garry. He says Shavkat Rakhmonov, and he says, what's the other name? Why do I keep forgetting the other name? Jack Della Maddalena. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the $1 donation button, and please tune in to the next video on this channel. Thanks a million for watching.